Hello, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us here at San Diego Pride. We're about to get started with our LGBTQ&A. We were joined last week by Councilmember Christopher Ward, and today we're joined by Council President Georgette Gómez. So please welcome to San Diego Pride's LGBTQ&A City Council President for San Diego.
Hi.
Hi, Georgette. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining us today. I know your time is precious, and so we greatly appreciate you being able to share this time with us today.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you, Fernando, and everybody that is working with San Diego Pride. But first, let me first start by actually thanking you for holding this space and this dialogue for community members. I know that as we're navigating through the code, I think one of the things that is really important, especially for our community, our LGBT plus community, is it's really important that we're creating and holding space so there's an opportunity to with one another, but also more importantly to ensure that we're supporting one another. And I know that at times there's a sense of feeling of isolation. So I really want to acknowledge the work that you all are doing to ensure that we're somewhat at least connecting, even if it's through this way. It's a connection. So I really appreciate the work that y'all are doing for our community members and for holding the space. So thank you for that. And I know that as we were catching up, I also want to acknowledge that I know that that San Diego Pride ended up making the decision to cancel Pride or postpone Pride. I don't know, is it cancel? And
virtual. We're going to do virtual.
There you go. We're transforming in different ways, right? But I know that it was the right decision. I know that it was a hard one, but it was the right decision for our community, making sure that that we're creating those spaces, but they're being done in a safe manner. So thank you for that leadership. And I know that it was not an easy decision, but one that was a responsible one. So thanks for that. And I also I think this is second week. I believe last week was a volunteer week, volunteer appreciation week. So I want to give shout outs to everybody that I know that Pride has tons of volunteers. So thank you all for being there for our community and really working hard. It doesn't go unnoticed. So thank you for everything and for all those amazing volunteers that are constantly stepping up and doing the work. So thank you. I really want to appreciate that. And yeah, I'm looking forward and having a conversation with our community members and very much open to any questions that are coming my way. This really is about making sure that we're supporting one another. And at times I too need that support. So I'm here to have a healthy discussion.
Well, thank you, Georgette. I super appreciate all of that, and thank you to you and our city leaders. So many elected officials. We're so fortunate to live in the city and county of San Diego. We're so fortunate to live in California, where our elected officials have really been wonderful leaders and listening to science and data to help inform us. Right? We're not epidemiologists over here at San Diego Pride, but we have wonderful trusted leaders who are helping to guide us in making those important decisions. And I know that I can speak for our volunteers and saying thank you. We are made by our volunteers. All of our year-round programming is made possible by those volunteers. So I know they appreciate that love and support.
Of course.
So for everyone, we've taken questions from people in the community over the last week or so, and we've collected those questions here today. We're going to go through some of those, and then if we have time, we'll take additional questions that are submitted throughout the process. So we're going to go ahead and get started with that. Well, it's starting off fairly easy. It's been a little over a month and a half now since Gavin Newsom shelter-in-place orders have affected all of us. And so how are you and your wife and the family doing?
Yeah, so it's been interesting because right before we asked people to stay at home, my brother was going through transition himself in terms of they're going through a process of adopting their grandchild. And they needed to find a different home. So because of the COVID, that created a little bit of a hurdle for them. So they ended up moving in. So my home ended up growing. We have my brother, my sister-in-law, and the two kids. So now we have extra visitors.
Wow.
My partner is a professor. So now they're having to reshift in how they do their teaching. So she's been holding university classes here at home. So that's been interesting as well, while I do my work as well. So we've been struggling with finding safe spaces to make sure that are able to do the work, but we've been managing. I'm very lucky, very privileged to have a safe home, a home that actually has a backyard. So I've been spending quite a bit of time in my backyard, and that's been very therapeutic for me. We've been doing a little bit of gardening. I have 3 fruit trees, 2 that are giving fruit right now, and I decided that we were going to prune all of them, the oranges and grapefruits. So we actually harvest a lot, and we shared it with some community members. Someone from the senior apartment of El Cajon came and picked some up. So we took some fruits to the community as well. So it's been good. It's been a little bit of, I don't think I've ever spent this much time at home before. so I'm learning how to appreciate my home even more nowadays. So overall, it's been good. And I'm like I said, I'm very lucky to have a home to call my own. And it's just been trying to make the best out of it.
Well, it sounds like you've got a home that's full of love, and I've seen some of your posts. I follow you on social media, so I've seen the generosity of what that food has looked like, those fruit trees have looked like, so that's wonderful.
Yes.
So the next question is related. I'm all about laying out on my very tiny little patio that I have to be outside. Our next question was actually about self-care, which you sort of addressed. So what sort of things are you personally doing, sounds like, for self-care? Or you sounds like you're spending time outside and family?
Yeah, no, thanks for that question. I think self-care is really, really important in moments like these, even more, right? Just because we can get so focused on diving into the problem that we're facing, and it's so easy, and we're getting bombarded by news constantly every single day, right? There's like a news coverage either by the city, the county, or the federal government. There's like a new briefing every single day. So it's really important that we ground ourselves through these difficult times more than ever. So I've been very intentional in making sure that I carve some time to ensure that I'm reconnecting with myself. Like I said, I've learned to appreciate my backyard quite a bit. So I've been spending more time there, which has been great. And also we're super lucky. Our weather has been amazing. So spending some time in the sun is always good. And I also have a dog. We have a dog, Canela. So we've been walking her quite a bit. I think she's been more walked recently than ever in her entire life. So I think she's getting tired of walking, actually. And sometimes at times, actually, I go with my partner, Raquel. We do some biking. So just to get out of the house and explore. I like to bike just to see how the district is doing. And even last weekend, I was fortunate enough to get more facial coverings donated by Little Saigon District here. And we were biking around giving out masks to our in-shelter residents. So that was good, prepping of knowing that the requirement was going to come. And I just wanted to make sure that we were taking care of our community members. And so we did a lot of biking throughout the district, looking for folks to give those masks. So, doing 2 things at the same time. So, yeah.
Well, I think it's very true to form for you to have public service be a part of your self-care. So that's
I can't help it. Yes.
But your dog's name is Canela?
Yes.
Mi tía también, her dog's name is Canela.
Oh, really? Yeah, no, she's like the best. We love her so much. Yeah. Nice.
I'm glad you're taking care of yourself and all of that too. That's so important for all of us to remember. So the next question is, obviously the pandemic has changed the way that all of us work. And so, as a council president, as a city council member, as a representative, I'm sure that has presented unique challenges. So can you tell us some about how that's changed the way you and your team work?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I think this pandemic really has created even an extra spotlight on the inequalities that we have in our society. So as a council representative to a community that is underserved, really we're just getting, not only are we dealing with the issues related to quality of life issues like the sidewalks or a light post that is not turned on, we're dealing with even greater problems. So just want to give shout outs to my staff, my entire team. They've been working tirelessly, making sure that we're connecting with community members. There you go, a nice picture. That we're connecting with the constituents constantly. They right away started gathering a list of all the senior apartments that we had in the district. And we reached out to the management companies just to make sure that they were linked to services. So that was one of the immediate things that our community reps did. We also very much mindful constantly of the fact that my district is not just speaking, they don't just speak English. So the multi languages that we serve, we know for a fact that 1 out of 5 community members speak a different language in the district. So we right away connected with other community nonprofits that were willing to volunteer their services for translation. So we were able to connect with that. So as we were creating documents, we were also making sure that they were getting translated into Spanish, Somali, Vietnamese, and as many languages that we could get support with, and sending it out through the community organizations. So they've been doing an incredible job. In terms of the city, as the council president, one of my biggest tasks is running the council meetings. So that was it took us some time to figure out how we were going to move forward. There were other agencies that just decided to shut down completely, no council meetings or no public meetings. I didn't want to do that, because I think it's really important for us as public servants to really be more present than ever and really show that we can continue moving forward or figure out how to move forward. It might change a little bit. So my team, along with the city clerk, we were trying to figure out, okay, how can we still have council meetings, right? So we managed to find a system. It's not perfect because one of the challenges is public participation. So we've managed to create a system that allows public participation, but it's minimal. And so we've been exploring with a lot of different forms of technology. People just, and because we are a public agency, security is constantly in mind, making sure that there's no breakthrough to the city cyberspace. And so it's just, it's not as easy as people might think it could be. So just working through all of that, and it's always it creates an extra layer of challenge, and but we've been able to navigate through it. Now we have a consistent process. We're meeting every Tuesday where we take advantage of the city council meeting and really ensure that we get people to participate and start moving forward. We're not going to stop just because of this. So it was very, I'm happy that we've been able to figure it out. Has it created a challenge? Yes, but we've managed to move forward and really do it in a way that is inclusive, as inclusive as it can be at this moment. And we're exploring how to improve what we currently have. So the city clerk is constantly looking at other cities, how they're managing their city council meetings, and see if we can improve based on what they're using. And so they're doing incredible work. Even with what we have, they're constantly looking on how to improve. And yeah, so just, having extra connection with the constituents. And we actually, my team right away created a dedicated page on our website on COVID with resources that are targeted to District 9. We also right away, I knew that because of the economic impacts, I knew that a lot of our community members were going to hit hard because they're already struggling. They're living paycheck by paycheck. So I knew that we needed to move forward with presenting a moratorium on evictions. It was important just to create a little bit of relief. Not perfect, but at least it was something that it wasn't necessary. So we're just moving as quickly as possible to ensure that we're taking care of our folks overall.
Well, I think you all have been doing a wonderful job, and I know that we often don't move as fast as some folks would like us, but I know that from the translation services to the technology, that you all and your team really do your best to bring government to the people to make sure that it's serving the people. And I think that's one of the things that I really appreciate about your leadership on the city council. And
thank you.
Fun fact, when they showed that picture of your staff, I was reminded that Gloria Cruz, who is on your staff, was San Diego Pride's entertainment director for many years, and also used to run the Regional Dreamers program out of the San Diego Pride office. So there's also some good connection there too between your.
Yes, most definitely. She does great work for our community.
Yes, she does. Gloria is great. Speaking of our community, the next question is, how have you seen COVID-19 impact the greater San Diego community, but more specifically the San Diego LGBT community?
Yeah. Well, like I said, right, we have a community that because of the nature of the relationship of coming out and being embraced, there's always a level of isolation at times, right? Because not all our community members embrace us from the beginning, so there's a rejection. So our community, unfortunately, has to create a different space of belonging. So the COVID really has created even a more challenge of those spaces getting impacted, right? I mean, a lot of people come to Pride's office, right? A lot of people were looking forward to the festivities of Pride because that's a moment of unity, of creating those spaces, and because of having to reshift in a different way, it creates a challenge. So, and also, I mean, Hillcrest is known as the epicenter for LGBTQ plus community spaces to go to, right? And that no longer is available, accessible to us. So I just think that it creates even a greater level of isolation. So that's why, doing this is really important, and making sure that we're actually talking about our community members' issues and acknowledging that, we're here for one another. That's really, really critical, because isolation can really be very deadly. And we've seen it within our community, especially within our LGBTQ plus youth community, right? It leads to either harming ourselves and not being good. And it's not because we don't want to, but just there's isolation can lead to something not a good thing. So I'm very much mindful of that, and we really need to figure out how we can reach out to one another and create discussions like these, just because it's important to lift that. And it's important to check up on one another as well. So I've been doing more of that too. I've been actually calling people and making sure that we're taking care of each other, even if it's through the phone or through a Zoom connection. That's at least the minimal that we can do at this moment, just because it's really important. And I know that this can lead to mental health. Right now, there's a couple of things that are really on top of mind. Is just the mental health aspect. And when we start coming back, what does that look like? What does that extra support look like? Because we were already dealing with challenges. This is going to create even a bigger one. We need to be very much mindful of that. And then just violence overall. We're seeing the impacts of the isolation to our unsheltered population, and we have a lot of our members from the LGBTQ community and living in the streets because of rejection. Once again, what does that support look like? So it's just seeing how a lot of our just the inequalities, the rejection that the stigma because of who we are. What is that? How does that translate to people's personal life? And COVID really has created a sense of even a bigger isolation. So we need to ensure that we're creating spaces like these to ensure that we're connecting. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I agree. I think you hit the nail on the head about the synergy of how we as LGBTQ folks experience social isolation or disconnect from those social networks in a different way. And the innovation I think we're seeing in our community and the things that you are doing and the center and and North County Center, different LGBT organizations are adapting to meet that and to help keep folks connected. I think that's so important. And you mentioned our youth, and I think it's important for folks to know. One of the things that we've done is we've also collected all of the different LGBT youth serving organizations in the region. All of their programs have gone virtual. So we've also put all of those programs on our website. So you can go to sdpride.org/youth. So if you have LGBTQ youth that are in need of those resources, virtual, it's not just our programs that are there. It's all the regional programs for LGBTQ youth.
Yeah, that's great. We'll make sure to spread it out, spread it as well, just because they're important. So thank you for doing that.
So the next one is a little lighter of a question. What's the first thing that you're going to do when we're free to move about again?
Wow, I haven't thought about that. That's a really great question. Well, I think honestly, the first thing that I'm going to do is go visit my mom. I think I've not seen her because of the nature of my work. It keeps me really busy, and I was doing campaigning before as well, so I was like extra busy. And then as soon as that ended, I thought I was going to have a little bit of time, but then this came about, so I really haven't seen my mom in a bit. I've spoken to her over the phone. Like I said earlier, we started utilizing Zoom. She's never done it in her entire life. So I saw her and that was great. But seeing her in person, touching her skin is something that I miss. So I'm going to go visit her.
That's wonderful. I think I miss my dad so much. And, we talk all the time and he's great on FaceTime, but I'm so looking forward to hugging my dad again.
Yeah. It's a reminder. It's a reminder to embrace those that are important to us. So I want to see my sister, the kids, my mom. Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, this next question actually touches on something that you mentioned earlier. And as a survivor of sexual assault, this touches close to my heart as well. And I'm sure you've seen that there has been an increase in domestic violence and sexual assault incidents. And so where can folks go if they're looking for resources and services support there?
Yeah, no, this is definitely something that is in top of mind. I too am a survivor, and also knowing how the pressures of having less resources, how that bleeds into the dynamic at home. I knew right away that we were going to start seeing probably even more incidents. So I've always tried to figure, okay, how do we make sure that we provide resources to our community members to be able to have access to. So the city attorney actually has a program. She's been doing incredible work even before this time. She really revamped the San Diego Family Justice Center, and they've been doing a lot of work on making sure that we're addressing domestic violence and creating a space for them. So really want to encourage people to reach out to the San Diego Family Justice Center, and the number is 866-933-HOPE or 866-933-4673, or they can also call 619-533-6000. So that's 619-533-6000, and that's the to reach out to San Diego Family Justice Center. And I also know that, I mean, there's other nonprofits that do work for to provide assistance. I mean, I was actually a crisis counselor for domestic violence and sexual assault survivors before I joined Environmental Health Coalition. So I know that there's various organizations out there that also provide, like the center. I'm sure that they have resources redirecting people. So really want to encourage people to call, and that I want to make sure that people know that they're not alone, that there's resources out there. And this is even more important, that they feel safe and supported. So please reach out to the San Diego Family Justice Center. They're available. We've been putting resources to the center, and to ensure that we're creating more support for folks going through these difficult times.
Thank you so much for being willing to chat about that. And
yeah,
I'm sure you might be familiar that San Diego Pride also was the founder of the LGBTQ Survivors Task Force. Yes. And the LGBTQ conference. And so the conference, obviously all of our events can't take place in physical space. So the conference is still going forward later this year in virtual space. And I know that we work with the Center, North County Lifeline, we work with the city attorney in the DA's office, we work with SDPD, and we also work with the Center for Community Solutions. And so there's more information there. I think oh great, they just put on the screen, Me Too LGBTQ. Nice. That was a huge gap. We do know that there's a disparity of impact to our community, specifically sexual assault and domestic violence. And so wonderful that so many regional organizations are leaning into to support.
That's great. Thank you. No, I know. I'm familiar with the work that y'all have been putting together, and thank you for that. And let me know how I can be of support as well. It's important.
It really is. Thank you for helping to address that challenging topic.
Of course.
Here's another one. You have been such a strong advocate on LGBTQ issues, not just here in San Diego, but also across the border. I think you and I, many of us here living here, know what a synergistic ecosystem, the economy, our social culture, we really are one region. And so how's the community being impacted on our sister city in Tijuana? And what can folks do to support our binational community?
Yeah, no, I definitely, I'm a product of immigrant parents, right? So for me, the relationship is always, it's a personal one. So I'm constantly connecting with the other side of our community. So I also want to start by thanking San Diego Pride for your outreach and support to the Tijuana community. I think it's really important that we work together and we support each other, because it really is, we're connected, right? So that's really important. I know that the conference, the Orgullo Sin Fronteras conference, I believe the first one, we were very much active, and it continues to move forward. So that's something that we need to continue supporting as it moves forward. I mean, it's a great conference, and it was a great pride of mine to really make sure that my office was present from the beginning, and continue to create those connections, and how to lift one another and support one another, right? Because we might have resources that they might not have access to. So that's really important. And once again, I want to thank Pride for also being part of that since the beginning. A great partner. Also, the Casa Arcoiris through the Latinx Coalition. I think that's a resource that is really important, that continues to grow. And we're starting to see even the more important it is, just because there's a lot of people that are needing support, and there's very little resources. So we need to continue supporting Casa Arcoiris. And the Tijuana LGBTQ community and the shelter for the LGBT community migrants. It's been heavily affected right now, because there's very little resources that are being shared with the center. So we need to make sure that we're supporting them. Right now, one of the biggest needs are medical and financial relief, because they're doing incredible work, and they're doing it with very little support. So it's really important that we continue working on making sure that the resources to be able to support the community. And like I said, this is an LGBTQ shelter that is managed by the Tijuana LGBT community. And you can only imagine that the resources or the lack of, so, they're counting on others to really support them. So we want to make sure that they get recognition, and also hopefully we can figure out how to support them even more. So we just continue. I mean, one of the things that I did, and it wasn't so much just directed at the LGBT community, but when COVID was getting even, hitting us even more, I wrote a couple of letters to the governor, especially when the first relief package got adopted from the federal government. One of the things that happened there was they actually intentionally left out our undocumented community members, and we do have members from our LGBTQ community. So what does that mean? That meant that any relief that was coming to people, if you're undocumented, you're not going to get any support by the government. Mm-hmm. That was intentional. So I got to recognize that we have people that are undocumented that are part of our community, and they deserve support just like any of us. So I managed to write a letter to the governor that other mayors signed on to. I believe we had 5 other mayors from our region to really create a relief for our undocumented community. Following that was actually another letter that I sent to the governor, and actually providing relief to Mexico, to Baja California. They need support, significant support, from mainly medical support, because that really, they're ready to really step up and provide the necessary healthcare for anybody. But the problem is that they don't have the supplies. I know that I was getting called by some of the providers over there, basically begging for assistance. So we want to make sure that they're taken care of, because they're going to be in the front lines, and if they don't have masks or they don't have the necessary equipment, then our community members are not going to be taken care of the way that they should. And so we're still working on making sure that resources are being sent over there. I know that the governor is talking to leaders in Baja California and trying to figure out how to make that happen. But in the meanwhile, we've been, sharing some supplies that are donated to me that I have access to. Been calling some people over there and trying to get them to get these supplies. So continue to do that. They need supplies, specifically right now, medical supplies and food as well. And then just continuing to do as much as that. I think it's important.
Well, thank you for highlighting all of that work and for always being a leader there to support. I mean, we are so connected from, like you said, the economy, our cultures, our families, the economy, and obviously our public health are connected. And so all of that work is so important. Thank you again for that leadership role there.
Of course, of course.
Let's see. Oh, so this next one was a personal note from someone. Thank you so much for being one of the first people to donate when we put out the call. So San Diego Pride put out a call for masks to help to distribute to folks and prioritizing LGBT seniors. And you were so kind to help collect those masks for those seniors. So first, we just wanted to say thank you for helping to make that happen. The LGBT Center's senior housing complex is such a vital resource for our community, and that you were so willing to always answer the call and support was wonderful. So the question, they actually did have a question here. What are the other ways that you've seen the LGBT community really rally together to support each other?
Yeah, no. So I think no, it was my pleasure. And actually, let me just give you the full story of those masks. So I do have a nonprofit here in District 9, the Little Saigon District, who basically took it upon themselves to put their own personal money to start making masks for free. And I called them up to say, hey, you know, there's a call for masks for our senior community members, or can you help me out here? And they're like, yeah, sure, come on by. So they donated them, and right away I turned them around and delivered them. So it's a beautiful thing that we're seeing right now, just in terms of just seeing how people are being creative and utilizing the tools that they have. If there's I guess they're able to do these very quickly, and other people have been donating fabric so they can provide them. So it's beautiful to see that occurring, right? Yeah. That there's everybody's coming together. So definitely important. So it was my pleasure, and I believe there was also some of the fruit that came from my home was delivered over there too. So making sure that our seniors are eating fresh fruit as well is important. And also during that when I was dropping off the mask, I believe John, who I was speaking with, making sure that they're getting the food to ensure that they're being fed and have access to that. They're good with that, and I don't think they need any support. So just continue. I mean, you mentioned Mama's Kitchen. That's another organization that we've been working with. I mean, they've been stepping up a lot. I mean, a lot of the groups that we touch, the center, Pride, Mama's Kitchen, they do a lot of great work in normal circumstances. Now they have stepped up to do even more. Mm-hmm. So we've been working with Mama's Kitchen, making sure that they have the necessary tools to be able to do the work that they're doing. So I know that we've been working with them and making sure that they get some refrigeration, I guess, upgrades to be able, because they need more space. Making sure that they have that, and then just want to continue working on making sure that people are being taken care of. I know that we what is it called? We Got SD, which is a grassroots support system for volunteers. They offer relief to those that are impacted. So really want to make sure that people have access to that. They have a website, which is wegotsd.com. And that's a group that provides volunteers to be able to offer the resources to people that are impacted. So it's an opportunity for folks to get involved. The LGBT Center continues to provide support for the community. And they also have set up an emergency referral and helpline during COVID-19. And the number is 619-692-2007, extension 211. So that's another resource that people can rally around and really, get some support if need be. So I just want to make sure that people are connected. If they want to support, they can get connected to volunteer, or if they need to support themselves, they can call the center and others as well to get that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's wonderful to see Cara Desert over there, really rising to the occasion. Alberto Cortez over at Mama's Kitchen. I know I was speaking with Alberto, and they were saying that basically every time they are serving meals, they're hitting a new level of the most meals they've ever served, because they're adding on COVID patients and patients in quarantine. So shout out to our LGBTQ organizations just stepping up their game.
Yes, most definitely. They're working hard.
Yes.
That's for sure. No question whatsoever.
So the next one's a fun one. So and selfishly, I have to say some of my favorite restaurants are in your district. But this one is cute. Where do you want to eat when we can all go out to restaurants again? What food are you really missing?
What food am I really missing? One of my perks that sometimes we do at least once a week, we would go to Polite Provisions. That's a place that I like. So definitely would love to go over there. I also like the Blind Lady quite a bit. We were going over there, and some of the places here in the district that I definitely miss, like Saigon's, and others. Nate's Garden and Grill. That's one that I would go during the weekends. They have some live music where you can go and have brunch. So definitely looking forward to visiting them. And it's a great place just because it's right next to the nursery. If you ever go to City Heights Farmers, it's a great jewel of the district. It feels like it's hidden. It feels like you're in the whole different world, not urban. So it's good. I would go and eat and then go over there and visit the plants and the animals, and the owner he's great, and the family's great. So I would love to go and visit them soon.
Hopefully soon.
Yes, most definitely.
So with everyone so focused on COVID-19, obviously that's taken so much focus. What is one major issue that you really want to ensure that the city of San Diego stays focused on? You know, what issue really matters to you right now that you wish was getting more attention?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple of things that are on top of mind that I don't know how to go about it. But one is seeing that we shifted very, very quickly to live our lives through technology. And I think I stated it earlier that we're seeing the spotlight on the disparities that we have. I mean, this is not a secret, but I think it shows it even more in terms of the technology divide that we have. Mm-hmm. So there's opportunity perhaps of the city stepping up and targeting some specific programs to make technology available, because we're seeing that it's not available to everybody. So I think that's something that I want to push a little bit and figure out how to do it. And then the other one is just overall, we're seeing, sorry, cutting the grass in the backyard.
All good.
It's real, right? This is real life.
It's real.
We are seeing how our frontline workers that are not making a lot of money, but they're still keeping our groceries stocked up. The farmers are still picking up the vegetables and the fruits that we consume. Nurses and even our city employees are still picking up your recycling, your trash. They're still operating, right? So there's certain sectors that are still moving the city forward. I think there's something to be said about them, and they don't have the luxury of, like, you know, if they don't come to work, they might get impacted. So just trying to figure out how do we do a package to protect workers that are in the front line. What is that extra perk? Because definitely right now we're seeing the importance of them stepping up. And I'm mindful of they're putting their lives on the line, and at times we don't recognize that. So here's an opportunity for us to say thank you, but more than just saying thank you, let's show you that we appreciate you. So it's something that I'm thinking about. I don't know what that looks like, but I think there's an opportunity for us to do something beyond the thank you. Because I think they deserve it, and I don't, like I said, I don't know what that looks like yet, but really I think about that constantly.
Well, I appreciate you highlighting that issue, and I think you're so right that in these times of crisis, sort of the disparities that marginalized, impacted communities feel really gets highlighted and centered in a different way, and so. Right. Calling that out and helps us work towards that progress to be able to address the issue. So if there's ever anything that we can do to support those workers and any path forward that you see for that, obviously, please let us know.
You got it. Will do.
So let's see. I'm actually able to connect with our folks who are sending us questions if we have any more at this moment. But I haven't seen anything else come through. And just seeing none, I'm gonna say what any last words or messages that you have for us today before we...
Yeah, no, I just once again let me go back by saying thank you for holding this space for our community members. I think it's important, and more important than ever. So thank you to Pride, thank you Fernando for that leadership, and just I'm going to continue reminding people, in order for us to try to come back to that normality that we all want to come back to, we're continuing to ask people to continue to obey by the distancing rules, the covering the face, the washing the hands. I think that's really, really critical. We're still trying to figure out getting enough access to testing. Unfortunately, it's going slower than what we all wish, but we're trying to do our best and bringing the resources to our region as much as possible. But we all need to make sure that in order for us to come back to that norm that we want to see, we just got to be a little bit more patient. That it's worth it, just because if we want to take shortcuts, it's going to get us back to square one, and we don't want that. So I'm very, very thankful. I think you stated it earlier, Fernando, that it's been very humbling to see leadership stepped up from the state all the way to our region. It's been amazing to see true leadership and really putting aside the politicking of it. It's just been, from Governor Newsom to our state senator, Tony Atkins, to Todd Gloria, to the county here, and just the cities. It's just been refreshing to see that we can do this and we will do this, but we've been able to really work together and put our differences to the side to really get us through this. So that's been really amazing. And I know that I constantly talk about the disparities getting highlighted even more right now, but I also want to acknowledge the organizations that were doing amazing work. Now they're doing like magical work even now, just because the pressure and the demand from our community is even more than what we had before COVID-19. And I really want to acknowledge all the community members that are doing, the nonprofits that are doing amazing work, and just the regular person that is also doing amazing work constantly. We've seen so many volunteers step up and volunteer at food distributions, or adopting a neighbor, and things like that. That's been great. There's been a lot of creativity, but I'm seeing a lot of the best in people, and that's hopeful for me. And it feeds my own personal soul to see people interact in such way. It's important. So keep on doing what we're doing.
Yes, keep on doing what you're doing, Georgette. You're doing great. It gives me hope too. Thank you, Council President Georgette Gómez, for joining us today. Thank you to all of you for joining us today. I really appreciate your time. And I look forward to folks joining us tomorrow at 6 p.m. when Devout will be, which is our Interfaith Coalition, will be presenting How to Reconcile Faith and Queer Identities. They'll be presented by Brandon Robertson. That's tomorrow at 6 p.m. On Friday, we'll be joined by another council member, Dr. Jen Campbell, who will be joining us for another LGBT Q&A. You can submit your questions to Jen Campbell for Friday's interview. That'll be at noon. It was just about 2 months ago when San Diego Pride's programs all moved into virtual space. And so if anything, we've increased the amount of programming and virtual content to connect folks to information and community. You can find more information about that at our website, sdpride.org/programs, or sdpride.org/events. Both will be listed, all of those things there. And if you appreciate what we're able to do to bring folks together, please consider becoming a monthly supporter of San Diego Pride at sdpride.org/donate. Thank you so much. Stay home, stay safe, stay healthy out there. I look forward to seeing you again, and together we rise. Have a great one.